My name is Karolina Jez, and I am a photographer and content creator from Montreal, Canada. Oh, and I have an Instagram account. So I started off as a fashion stylist in Vancouver, and I used to go to a lot of fashion shows, and then one day I brought my camera with me when I was sitting, in the audience looking at a fashion show. And I kind of started snapping for fun, and the pictures actually turned out quite nice. And from there, it just kind of took off. So I slowly transitioned from styling to photography. My first gig was with a really known beauty brand. They gave me a chance, which I'm really grateful for. And I started shooting flat lays for them. And then from there, it evolved into more fashion and lifestyle, interiors, and yeah, I got very lucky. I also worked very hard. I was doing photography for free for a while just to build my portfolio. And then from there, it evolved into a full-time business. So I've been a full-time photographer, I would say, for the past, 5 years. I think the industry evolved in a way where before, in order for people to take you seriously, you had to go to photography school and get that education, whereas now it's much more attainable in a sense that there's tutorials on YouTube, you can take master classes online, and you can really learn. I still think that you have to be kind of born with a certain aesthetic and a creative sense in order to be good at what you do. It's not just something you can learn and be amazing at, but it's definitely much more attainable. So, people that don't necessarily have the funds to go to a great school can just go online and learn the same skills from other experts in the industry. So it's much more hands-on, and I think it's just much more open to the world now, especially with social media and with what's available online. The one thing that I think helped me in the beginning was taking a 3-day class with a photographer that I really admire from New York. It kind of gave me the confidence to shape my vision in a way, and I think seeing another female in the industry that is doing such amazing things and shooting for such great brands kind of gave me the confidence, because it is an industry that's quite male dominated. So seeing another female kind of gave me like a bit of a push to, be a little bit more brave, I guess. And I think also finding your own style is super important. I think that when I pitch to clients and when I come up with mood boards, I really try to stay away at looking what other photographers are doing. I kind of come up with my own ideas, and I think that's super key because there's just so much out there now, and I think it's great to be inspired and look at what other people are doing, but I think try to shape your own vision in a way. And another piece of advice that I think is super important that clients really appreciate these days is kindness. I know it sounds really weird, but when you can connect with each client on a personal level and be honest and real with them, it goes very, very far. They really appreciate that. So just be yourself, be nice, and shape your own vision and your own style. How do I stay inspired? Honestly, I work maybe in a bit of a different way than some people do. I do create a bit of a vision in the beginning, but I also get very inspired when I'm on set. I would say that half of the things that I shoot, I kind of come up with the direction and the ideas when I'm there. Because when you see the people that you're working with, when you touch things physically, when you're on set, when you see the location where you're at, also the people that surround you and are on your team are so inspiring that you kind of just come up with ideas on the spot. And I think to me, those are the most fun ideas. So I think always have a mood board and a direction, but then also let your mind kind of just do its thing when you're there. You have to trust yourself in the process. And if something just randomly inspires you on set, which that happens to me often, just go in a different direction if you want to. And like, don't be scared to just be glued to this sheet that just you know, gives you like the specific way of doing things. So I think that's what it is. I think once you're on set, just like let your mind go, and you have to filter out the noise. There's noise everywhere with everything these days. So again, just stay true to what you're good at. Don't try to be somebody else because that's what's cool in the moment. Believe me when I say there's really room for everybody, and try not to compete with anyone because your client knows what they want. So if they want a different style, they're gonna go to somebody else, and don't let that affect you. Just be who you are, and that's what's gonna get you ahead of other people. I think, well, first of all, I would say that my fashion sense, if I would have to describe myself, is a bit of classic, a bit of effortless, but like a tiny bit of an edge. So I think when it comes to interiors, I kind of look for a similar vibe, something that's a little bit classic, a little bit effortless, but also has something different that makes it stand out. So yeah, I definitely think I translate my, you know, like what I love seeing in my closet into my interior in a way. Like, I think my interior makes sense when you think of who I am as a person in terms of fashion. My interior design style, well, we're going through renovations now, so it's actually a good time to ask. Again, I'm always drawn to something that is gonna stand the test of time, because I think classics are important. And then I always love kind of throwing in pieces that give it a little bit of spice, you know? So you have a very neutral, clean living room, let's say, but then you'll throw in an interesting light or a carpet that pops out, or maybe there's like a very cool antique or vintage chair that, you know, has like its own story. So I think the base is always classic, and then I throw in elements that make it stand out without being too out there. I like having like a zen palette. When I look at it, I want to feel like, okay, this feels good, instead of like, like what is happening here? That's just for me personally. Okay, well, we're just starting. We're like a little bit behind, but that's okay. So is everybody else. I think the vision, the way that I describe that I would love my home to look like, is Paris meets New York. So there's like classic European elements, but then you have a little bit of like that New York feel when it comes to certain things, like maybe the furniture, or like we have a semi-detached, so it kind of has already like that townhouse New York vibe to it. And I think it's like the tall ceilings, like the wooden floors, the moldings, which again are like a mix of maybe a bit of Paris with like a little bit of like a Brooklyn townhome. That's kind of like my dream. So I think that's the direction that we're headed to. Well, I can definitely tell you my least favorite room right now is our basement. I'm convinced that it's haunted, and I literally lock the door with a key. I'm not kidding. Like, that door is always locked with a key in case like a ghost escapes. Like, I watch way too much true crime and like scary shows, so my imagination runs wild. My favorite room would definitely be the living room. I feel like it's where we all come together. We always have friends over. I really enjoy hosting. We have our TV there. We really enjoy watching like TV shows. So it's kind of like a mix of the hosting, the friends. It's very cozy. We have a fireplace that's always on. So it just brings everything together. I think our living room is like, it's our safe space, you know? So how to elevate my home? I definitely think accessories for me are key. By accessories, I mean art. Placing different art, different textured art, I think is really nice when you want to give the home depth. Accessories are super big, especially I'm finding a lot of the fashion websites that I go on now sell home accessories. Like Essence has like a home accessory section that's amazing with like candles and vases. There's so much, like couch throws. Same with Matches Fashion. They have a whole home section. So I think a lot of these fashion websites are gearing towards more interior design because it's so big now, and I feel like everybody is redoing their homes because I guess we're home so much more often that it's interesting to see how they source and what they source based on also what they do with their fashion. And it's been very interesting, and I feel like they're actually doing a really good job. So that's what I do. Accessories and art are definitely, I think, a way to really personalize the home in your own vision. So the three places I've been looking lately are Facebook Marketplace, which I swear to God, if you search, you're gonna find some very interesting things. Like I found a very nice travertine coffee table that was really well priced that on other websites would probably be 10 times the price. So if you know how to look on there, there's some great things and very well priced and affordable things. I love First Dibs for anything vintage, but you have to be careful because the prices can go from like 50 to literally like 150,000, but if you know how to search there too, there's some amazing antique and vintage finds. And then yeah, I think Essence was the most surprising to me because they have some great finds. Not everything is over. I feel like people will be like, oh, Essence, it's so expensive. Well, you know what? If you actually know the website and you look at their fashion, they're priced from here to here, so there's something for everyone. And I would say that's it. And there's also a lot of local great shops in Montreal that also sell antiques. There's Riax, I think that's how you pronounce it. Le Centerpiece has some really, really beautiful things. So if you search, you're gonna find a lot of stuff locally too. That's secondhand, but very, very beautiful. Union to me is the go-to for anything lighting. I feel all my friends that are designers always come here. All my other friends that are not designers always come here. Again, I think it's such a great place because it's got everything for any price range. The selection is so unique. You have the classics, you have the edgy. Like right now I'm looking for anything plaster. I'm having like a plaster moment, and there's so many cool plaster lights here that I find are very tough to find in other places. And also the service is so nice. Everybody's so sweet here, so helpful. It's just a vibe. Like I can't explain it. When you walk in, you're like, you feel good. And I think it's really important, especially these days when you're shopping in a physical store, to like feel good when you walk in, you know? So I think it's everything. It's the vibe, it's the people, it's the selection. It's kind of like they got it all. So my top three pieces right now are, actually I'm looking at it from here. There's an Erin plaster chandelier light that I'm thinking about putting in my living room. It actually looks very vintage, but maybe like the brass handles kind of give it like a modern vibe too, which is nice. Anything Kelly Ressler I'm obsessed with. I've always loved her style. She takes a lot of risks, but I'm finding that her home pieces are attainable and can also fit a lot of different homes, but also have a lot of warmth to them. So we're looking at sconces for our library from her. And then there are these rattan chairs that are based on this vintage model that is very popular right now that I'm kind of eyeing for my right eye for our dining room. So those are like my top three right now in the store. So you can find me on Instagram under @Karolina Jez. I'm always on there and I'll answer anybody's DMs. I talk to everybody on there. Also my website, karolinajez.com, if you want to see my photography work, my portfolio. And yeah, I would say that those are the two main ways. The two main ways you can get a hold of me.